Listen, the Xenomorphic Combat Academy sits on Station Kepler 9, which orbits a binary star system that honestly looks way cooler than it needs to. The facility is all sleek chrome and bioluminescent panels designed to intimidate. It's working. Every species in the training cohort looks absolutely terrified, which is probably the whole point. Instructor Vextor stands at the front of the amphitheater, his crystalline form refracting light in ways that suggest he's somehow even more intimidating when he's literally made of minerals. He's briefing today's cohort on the upcoming grand tournament, and his voice echoes with the kind of authority that makes your nervous system just give up. Competitors, Vextor announces, tapping a holographic display that springs to life above his head. You represent your species across the galaxy. The tournament is an opportunity to showcase your civilization's combat prowess. However, there are rules. Rules are important. Rules keep chaos at bay. He pauses for effect. The guy knows how to work a room. Rule 1, no energy weapons beyond Class 3 output. Rule 2, no chemical or biological agents. Rule 3, no weapons that violate treaties agreed upon by the Galactic Council. Rule 4, he continues, his voice dropping to emphasize the point. No projectile weapons. This is a combat academy of honor and directness. You will fight with melee weapons, hand-to-hand techniques, or approved energy systems only. The cadets nod solemnly. This is serious business. Everyone from the Krell Empire nods. The insectoid delegation nods. The crystalline beings nod, which is weird because they don't have necks, but somehow they commit to it anyway. Then there's Marcus, the human from Earth. Marcus sits in the third row, and the thing about humans in a galactic academy is they don't fit the aesthetic. He's got skin and hair and normal proportions, which apparently makes him look lazy by comparison. The Krell have 4 arms. The insectoids have compound eyes. The crystalline beings are literally made of diamonds. Marcus just sits there with his 2 arms, 2 legs, and an expression that suggests he finds something deeply funny about all this. Vextor notices Marcus isn't nodding with sufficient solemnity. Do you understand the rules, human? Vextor's crystalline structure shifts, catching the light in a way that probably means he's annoyed. Marcus looks up, and his mouth curls into something between a smile and a grimace. Absolutely. No projectile weapons. Got it? You seem confident for a species that invented the wheel approximately 6,000 years ago. Vextor observes, your civilization's combat record is, shall we say, underwhelming by galactic standards. This is technically fair. Earth joined the Galactic Council about 18 months ago, and the general consensus among other species is that humans are a curiosity. We show up to meetings, we're diplomatically polite, and we have this weird obsession with coffee that the Zephyri find absolutely baffling. We have a saying back home, Marcus responds, his tone carrying that sarcastic edge that humans are apparently famous for. Something about underestimating us. Vextor's crystalline form flickers in what might be irritation or might be contempt. It's honestly hard to tell with beings made of minerals. The grand tournament begins in 72 hours, Vextor announces to the whole cohort. Begin your preparations. Use the Academy's training facilities. Consult with combat advisors. Research tactics. We will reconvene on the tournament grounds, and we will see which species truly understands the art of direct combat. As the cadets file out of the amphitheater, Marcus stays behind for just a moment, tilting his head like he's thinking about something. Kyptos, the nervous insectoid cadet with too many limbs and not enough confidence, scuttles by and does a double take. Marcus, why are you smiling like that? Kyptos whispers, his compound eyes reflecting genuine concern. No reason, Marcus says, just thinking about how technically specific that rule was. No projectile weapons. That's interesting wording. It is, Kyptos agrees. Then his antennae droop with worry. Why does it sound like you're planning something problematic? But Marcus is already walking toward the archives, humming something that sounds suspiciously like Earth music from centuries ago. Vextor watches from across the amphitheater, his crystalline structure catching light in ways that suggest even minerals can register confusion. The Academy's historical archives are located in the lowest level of Station Kepler 9, which makes sense because apparently civilizations love keeping their old stuff in basements, even in space. Marcus walks in with the kind of casual confidence that only comes from having a plan, is technically legal, but deeply problematic. The archive keeper is a Zephyr named Jewel, a gaseous being who exists in a containment field and spends most of their time organizing information about dead civilizations. They don't even look up when Marcus enters. "I need information about Earth's medieval period," Marcus announces. "For cultural research, Academy approved." It's not a lie. The Academy does encourage cultural research. Marcus just didn't mention what kind of research he had in mind. Jules' containment field ripples with what might be excitement or might be indigestion. It's hard to tell with gaseous beings. Earth. Fascinating. "Your species developed so many creative approaches to warfare before you discovered nuclear deterrence," Jewel says, which is a diplomatic way of saying humans really enjoy hitting each other with sharp objects. "What period interests you?" "Around the year 1000 AD, Marcus says, already moving toward the historical database terminals. "Specifically weapons and combat techniques." He spends the next several hours diving into Earth's medieval archives, crossbows, longbows, ballistas, trebuchets, all the lovely instruments of violence that predated gunpowder getting really efficient. The data is comprehensive. Someone at the Galactic Council clearly took their archival duties seriously. Marcus pulls up schematics for a medieval crossbow from 1050 AD, studying the mechanics with the intensity of someone who is absolutely planning something. The triggering mechanism, the draw weight, the bolt construction, all of it filed away in his brain like he's running calculations. Kiptos finds him 3 hours into research, his multiple legs clicking nervously against the archive floor. "Marcus, why are you researching ancient Earth killing devices?" Kiptos whispers, which is pointless because they're the only ones here besides Jewel, who is currently processing some data about Krell Empire poetry and doesn't care about their conversation. "I'm not researching killing devices," Marcus says, not looking up from the holographic display. "I'm researching the technical specifications of ancient hunting and combat equipment from a primitive Earth civilization." "That is exactly what researching killing devices is," Kiptos responds, his antennae drooping with increasing worry. "Is it, though?" Marcus turns to face his insectoid friend, and there's definitely something mischievous happening behind his eyes. "The rules say no projectile weapons, right? Modern projectile weapons, fast-moving, energy-based, designed for contemporary galactic combat. But what about slow-moving, mechanically simple, ancient Earth weapons? Are those technically projectile weapons in the legal sense?" Kiptos's compound eyes widen with understanding and horror in equal measure. "Oh, no, Marcus, you can't be serious. Vextor will disqualify you. He'll file complaints with the Galactic Council. He might actually file a complaint about you being alive." "Only if I violate the rules," Marcus says, calmly pulling up another schematic. This one shows a beautifully crafted crossbow with ornate detailing. "And I'm not. I'm merely preparing for combat using equipment that technically predates the legal definition of contemporary weapons. It's practically a loophole." "It's not practically a loophole," Kiptos says, his voice getting higher with distress. "It is aggressively a loophole. It is a loophole with intent to deceive. It is loophole adjacent to fraud." But Marcus is already making notes, cross-referencing materials and calculating weight distributions. He's working through some mental checklist of what's possible, what's legal, and what will absolutely make Vextor's crystalline form shatter with rage. "Marcus," Kiptos says quietly, moving closer so Jewel definitely can't hear, "if you actually do this, you're going to change how every species looks at humans. They're already skeptical. This is going to confirm every theory they have about us being chaotic and rule-bending." Marcus looks at his nervous insectoid friend and smiles. "Genuinely, exactly," he says. "Welcome to human culture, Kiptos. We don't break the rules. We find the spaces between them and exploit them with the efficiency of a lawyer at a contract negotiation. He returns to the archives, pulling up materials on ancient siege weapons next, while Kipto stands there contemplating whether to report this or just accept that humans are exactly as unpredictable as advertised. Jewel continues organizing poetry files, completely unaware that the upcoming tournament is about to become very interesting indeed. Tournament day arrives with all the fanfare of a galactic event that takes itself way too seriously. The arena is a massive open space with holographic barriers, observation decks packed with spectators from every corner of known space, and an announcer who speaks in at least 4 languages simultaneously. The bracket gets displayed on screens that are somehow visible from every angle at once, which is probably some tech Marcus still doesn't fully understand. Marcus is matched against a competitor named Krelvax in the first round. Krelvax is a Krell Empire warrior, which means he's got 4 arms, scales that shimmer with confidence, and a combat record that includes victories against opponents from 17 different species. The odds are displayed in glowing numerals, and they're absolutely brutal, 97-3 in Krelvax's favor. Kiptos sits in the spectator section next to several other Academy cadets, all of them watching the bracket with varying degrees of anxiety. The consensus among everyone who knows anything about competitive combat is that Marcus is about to get obliterated. Vextor stands in the announcer's box, his crystalline form gleaming under the arena lights. He looks vaguely amused in a way that suggests he's already calculating how long the human will last before requesting medical assistance. This should be quick, Vextor mutters to his assistant, a Zephyr who is somehow more professional about gaseous being interactions than Jewel is. But Marcus walks into the arena looking completely calm. Not cocky, just calm. The kind of calm that comes from someone who knows they have an answer to a problem everyone else thinks is unsolvable. He's dressed in standard Academy combat gear, which is practical and unimpressive. No visible weapons, no tactical armor with upgrades. Just a human in normal clothes about to face down a 4-armed Krell warrior with centuries of combat experience. The crowd murmurs. A few species place last-minute bets, almost all of them betting against the human. Combatants, take your positions, the announcer declares in those 4 simultaneous languages. This is a non-lethal combat match. Victory is achieved through disarmament, incapacitation, or surrender. Begin on my signal. Krelvax cracks all 4 of his knuckles simultaneously, which is somehow more intimidating than Marcus expected it would be. The warrior has this look of someone who is about to perform a routine task that he's done hundreds of times before. Marcus stands perfectly still, his hands at his sides, that slight smile still playing at the corners of his mouth. The announcer's voice booms across the arena. 3, 2, 1, begin! Krelvax charges forward with the kind of aggressive confidence that usually works when you're 4-armed and trained by an empire that has conquered 7 star systems. He's already assuming victory, already thinking about his next match, and Marcus just stands there, completely serene, like he's about to pull something out of thin air that will absolutely change everything about how this fight goes. The arena leans forward in its collective seats. Even Vextor's crystalline structure seems to be reflecting light with increased interest. Something is about to happen that nobody in this arena has prepared for. Krelvax is maybe 2 meters away when Marcus moves, but he doesn't move toward Krelvax. He moves his hand to his lower back, to a compartment that definitely wasn't visible during the equipment check because it's hidden with the kind of cleverness that suggests Marcus spent serious time thinking about concealment options. He pulls out a crossbow, not a small one, and not some wimpy ceremonial device. This is a full-sized medieval crossbow from approximately 1050 AD, beautifully crafted with dark wood and steel mechanisms, looking absolutely absurd against the backdrop of futuristic technology surrounding the arena. It's anachronistic in a way that makes the entire crowd stop breathing. Krelvax's 4-arm charge falters for exactly 1 second, which is all the time Marcus needs. He loads a bolt with mechanical precision, his movements economical and practiced. The bolt itself is simple, wooden shaft, metal tip, medieval, deadly, completely unexpected. What? Vextor says slowly, his crystalline form flickering with what might be a system error. Is that? Marcus pulls the trigger. The bolt flies with perfect accuracy, cutting through the arena air faster than anyone expected something ancient to travel. It doesn't hit Krelvax's body. Instead, it strikes the ceremonial plasma weapon Krelvax was carrying, a weapon designed for contemporary galactic combat. The bolt hits with enough force to knock it clean out of Krelvax's grip, sending it skittering across the arena floor. The crowd loses its collective mind. Some species are chittering, some are radiating, some are making sounds that universally translate to what the actual Krelvax pivots, now weaponless, staring at Marcus with the expression of someone whose entire worldview just got realigned. Four-armed warriors from the Krell Empire do not expect to be disarmed by wood and string. You have got to be kidding me, Krelvax says, his voice a low growl of disbelief. Marcus knocks another bolt with the kind of calm efficiency that suggests this is absolutely not his first time doing this. You good? Want to keep going, or do you want to surrender? That's a projectile weapon, Krelvax protests, gesturing at the crossbow with two of his arms while trying to look threatening with the other two. You violated the tournament rules. Is it? Marcus responds, his tone suggesting he's been waiting for this exact argument. Because technically, yes, it launches projectiles, but the rule specified no projectile weapons. It did not specify what kind of projectile weapons. Medieval Earth crossbows predate the technological definition of contemporary projectile weapons by approximately 950 years. They're archaeologically significant artifacts, not tournament equipment. He's still holding the crossbow aimed at Krelvax, not aggressively, just ready. Kiptos in the spectator stands is vibrating with what might be excitement or might be the early stages of a stress-induced molt. Probably both. Vextor's crystalline form is doing something weird, like his internal structure is recalibrating. The assistant next to him is making frantic hand gestures. That's clearly a violation in spirit, someone in the crowd shouts. Zephyr Judge, probably, who takes this stuff seriously. Spirit doesn't matter, Marcus calls back, his eyes never leaving Krelvax. Rules matter. The rule was no projectile weapons. This is a weapon. It does project things, but it's not in violation of the specific terms stated because the rule didn't account for the existence of medieval Earth weaponry. Krelvax stands there, now unarmed, facing down a human with a medieval crossbow and apparently an excellent argument. The warrior's scales seem to dim slightly, which probably translates to extreme frustration. Do you yield? Marcus asks politely, still holding the crossbow steady. Krelvax's jaw clenches, and all four of his arms drop to his sides in the universal gesture of surrender. He walks out of the arena without another word, and the crowd erupts into chaos. Vextor's crystalline form flickers rapidly, which is probably the mineral equivalent of a system crash. The announcer is making sounds in all four simultaneous languages that roughly translate to, did we plan for this scenario? Marcus lowers the crossbow and smiles. Not a mean smile, just a smile that says he knew exactly what he was doing. He followed the rules technically, and Earth has apparently brought something to the galactic community that nobody was expecting. A complete refusal to play by assumptions about what combat should look like. The bet displays are going haywire as people frantically place new bets on Marcus's next match. In the spectator section, Kiptos turns to the other cadets next to him and just shrugs. I told you not to underestimate humans, he says, which he absolutely did not. But he's not going to miss the opportunity to say it now. Vextor summons Marcus to the judges' box before the second match even gets scheduled. This is happening in front of the entire arena, which means whatever comes next will set a precedent for the entire tournament. Marcus walks into the judges' box with his crossbow still in hand, looking completely unbothered. Vextor's crystalline structure is cycling through colors that probably indicate various levels of frustrated fury in the mineral being's emotional spectrum. Explain yourself, Vextor says, his voice somehow making the words sound like an accusation and a threat simultaneously. Explain what? Marcus responds innocently, "I followed the tournament rules exactly as stated." "You brought a medieval weapon into a contemporary galactic combat arena," Vextor says slowly, like he's trying to process how anyone could think this was acceptable. "The spirit of the rule clearly prohibits projectile weapons." "The spirit of the rule is irrelevant," Marcus says, and now he sounds exactly like a lawyer, which is apparently what humans do when they get into arguments. "The rule states, and I quote from the tournament documentation, no projectile weapons." A projectile weapon is defined in the Galactic Combat Code as a weapon utilizing energy-based propulsion systems or electromagnetic acceleration. This crossbow uses mechanical tension stored in a curved wood and steel frame. There is nothing energy-based about it. There is nothing electromagnetic about it. Vextor's crystalline form flickers with distress. Furthermore, Marcus continues, getting warmed up now, the legal definition of contemporary weapons in the code specifically references technologies developed after the year 2150 on Earth's calendar. This crossbow is from approximately 1050 AD. It predates the legal definition by nearly 900 years. Technically, this weapon is so ancient it's classified as a historical artifact, which means it falls under a completely different regulatory framework. A Zephyr judge in the observation box makes a gaseous sound that translates to something like, "Oh no, he's right." "You're telling me," Vextor says slowly, "that you're arguing a 1,000-year-old hunting weapon is legal under Galactic Combat Code because of a technicality." "Not a technicality," Marcus says. "A loophole. There's a difference. A technicality is an accidental oversight. A loophole is when the rule as written doesn't account for a scenario. Your rule didn't account for a species joining the galactic community that might have weapons older than your entire legal system. That's not my problem. That's a drafting issue." The crowd in the arena is going absolutely wild. The species are turning to each other in shocked conversations. A few are already filing something that looks like complaints. A Krell representative is making aggressive gestures in the judge's direction. "You can't honestly expect this to be acceptable," Vextor says, his voice now carrying a note of desperation. "I absolutely expect it to be acceptable," Marcus responds, "because I've read the rules. I've read the legal documentation. I've read the historical archives, and every single one of those sources supports my position. If you want to ban medieval Earth weapons, you're going to need to rewrite the rule to specifically exclude ancient historical artifacts. But as it stands, your rule says no projectile weapons, and this isn't one according to the legal definition you provided." Kiptos is now standing up in the spectator section, his antennae vibrating with what might be pride or might be shock at witnessing a human execute a perfect legal argument in front of the entire galactic community. Another judge, a crystalline being who apparently shares Vextor's anxiety, leans over and whispers something. Vextor's structure dims significantly. "Fine," Vextor says finally, his voice carrying the weight of someone who has just realized they've been completely and thoroughly outmaneuvered by a loophole. The human's equipment is legal under current rules. However, he adds, and his tone suggests he's already mentally rewriting entire sections of the tournament code. "This ends after this tournament. The rule will be revised to prevent this specific situation from occurring again." "I'd expect nothing less," Marcus says, nodding respectfully, "though I'd suggest getting a lawyer to review it this time, someone who thinks like a human." He walks back to the competitors' area, and Vextor just stands there, his crystalline form reflecting light in patterns that probably mean he's deeply regretting every decision that led to humans joining the galactic community. The arena erupts in conversation and argument, and the sound of beings from 17 different species having simultaneous philosophical debates about the nature of rules, loopholes, and whether they should have seen this coming. The tournament continues, and Marcus continues to advance. Each match follows a pattern that becomes increasingly entertaining and increasingly infuriating to Vextor. In the second round, Marcus faces off against a Zephyr competitor who relies on speed and agility. Marcus pulls out a longbow. The Zephyr can't maintain velocity when precision bolts are being fired at predictable trajectories. Vextor watches from the judge's box, his crystalline form, now a permanent shade of what probably means resigned frustration. The third round features Marcus against crystalline being named Quexel, who specializes in melee combat. Marcus produces a flail, which is technically not a projectile weapon, just a medieval weapon that he swings with the kind of confidence that suggests we humans have had a lot of practice hitting things with objects on sticks. Quexel surrenders after exactly 3 seconds. By the semifinals, the other competitors have realized they're not fighting someone trying to win through conventional means. They're fighting someone who has spent 72 hours studying every legal loophole in the tournament rulebook and combining it with Earth's entire history of medieval violence. The finals pit Marcus against a Krell warrior named Vorgath, who actually reads the regulations before the match. Vorgath comes prepared with a complaint form already filled out, which he files the moment Marcus produces his weapon, a trebuchet, a miniature trebuchet technically, but still a siege weapon, still medieval, still absolutely legal under the rules as written. Vorgath surrenders before Marcus even loads it. Vextor's crystalline form is now cycling through colors so rapidly it's genuinely concerning. The assistant standing next to him is actively taking notes for the rewritten regulations, which is going to be substantial. Marcus is declared the champion of the Xenomorphic Combat Academy tournament. The crowd's reaction is complicated. Some species are applauding. Some are filing official complaints. Some are already requesting meetings with Earth's diplomatic representatives to discuss what just happened. The prize ceremony happens on the tournament grounds, and Vextor has to personally present Marcus with the champion's medallion, while his entire structure vibrates with barely contained fury. "Congratulations," Vextor says, through what sounds like gritted mineral edges. "You have won through innovative application of existing rules." "Thank you," Marcus says, accepting the medallion. "Your tournament was very well organized. I particularly appreciated the clarity of the written regulations. This is definitely a dig, and everyone knows it." That evening, Kiptos finds Marcus in the Academy cafeteria, celebrating with several other cadets who have decided that humans are now officially the most interesting species in the galactic community. "You did it," Kiptos says, settling down at Marcus's table with something that looks like food, but probably isn't. "You actually won the entire tournament using medieval Earth weapons and superior legal argumentation. We prefer to call it creative problem-solving," Marcus says, grinning. "Back on Earth, we have this concept called litigation. It's where two parties disagree, and instead of fighting, they hire people called lawyers who argue about what the rules mean. Apparently, that skill set transfers well to intergalactic combat tournaments." "The Galactic Council is already discussing new regulations," Kiptos says. Vextor filed a formal complaint. He's demanding that all future tournaments include mandatory legal review of equipment before competitors enter the arena. "That's probably wise," Marcus agrees. "Though I'd still suggest having a human review any new rules. We're very good at finding the spaces between them." Over the next few days, the story of Marcus's victory spreads throughout the galactic community. Humanity went from being a curiosity to being categorized as a species that should never be underestimated, particularly in contract negotiations or competitive sports with poorly written regulations. The Krell Empire requests a meeting to discuss trade agreements. There's every one of them. Understand human litigation practices. 3 different species file petitions to have legal clauses in their treaties, with Earth reviewed by human attorneys. Vextor rewrites the tournament regulations to be approximately 400 pages longer, with specific exclusions for any weapons predating contemporary galactic history. He also adds a section explicitly requiring legal review by independent panels before equipment clearance. But the real victory comes 2 weeks later when Marcus receives official notification from the Galactic Commerce Bureau. Humanity has been officially certified as a species with exceptional legal and analytical capabilities. This certification comes with trading privileges, diplomatic benefits, and the understanding that Earth's primary galactic export is apparently ourselves as consultants and lawyers. Marcus shows the notification to Kiptos, who reads it and then makes a sound that translates roughly to delighted confusion. So you conquered an entire galactic military tournament with weapons that are older than most civilizations' written history, Kiptos says, and as a result, Earth's new role in the galactic community is being hired by other species to help them understand contracts. That's humanity, Marcus says, grinning. We don't break rules. We find the spaces between them and charge consulting fees for the experience. Somewhere in the station above them, Vextor is still rewriting regulations, and the entire galactic community is learning the most important lesson about humans. We are the species that will read the fine print, identify the loophole, exploit it with aggressive competence, and then charge you for the legal review afterward. Earth's real superpower, it turns out, is good lawyers and an absolute refusal to follow the spirit of rules when the letter of the law provides an alternative.